Greetings everyone, today we are going to talk about bioenergetics. Bio means life, energetics means energy. It is a field of biology in which we study about the interconversion of energy from one form to another form. For instance, if we are having light energy, we are having light energy. Now this light energy which is obtained from inorganic source, so suppose this is light energy obtained from the sun, and the light energy obtained from the sun is then absorbed by the pigments present inside the chloroplast of the green parts of plant. So these pigments absorb those pigments, due to which the light energy is then converted into chemical energy through the process of photosynthesis. First, it is converted from the chemical process through the photochemical process, converted into light energy into chemical energy, after which the chemical energy in the form of ATP and NADPH2 is converted into glucose, which is a biochemistry energy, which is a biochemical energy. Now, in this case, uh, energy is being continuously changing. First, it was in the form of light energy, then chemical, then biochemical energy. After biochemical energy, after which uh, from chemical to biochemical, and from biochemical it is then utilized by other living organisms. For suppose glucose is made in the form of biochemical energy within the plant, and plant is consumed by consumers, which includes the primary consumer, which first consume, which feed on directly on the producers, which are the plants. After which the primary consumers are eaten by secondary consumers. After which the secondary consumers, after which the secondary consumers are consumed by the tertiary consumers. So in this case, the energy is being converted from one form to another continuously, and that ultimately then the animal is decayed, it dies, and it is then accumulated within the soil. And when it is accumulated within the soil, the animal which is accumulated within the soil is then uh, of course the energy which is stored in the soil in the form of fossil fuel energy or biomass energy. So again, that continuously goes into a cyclic manner, due to which we say that this is the study of relation of this conversion of energy from one to another form. Now coming to our second topic, which is phosphorylation. What is phosphorylation? Phosphorylation is an important concept which includes which is termed to be the addition of phosphate. Addition of phosphate obtained from inorganic source to ADP in order to form ATP. Now, the phosphate which is obtained from inorganic source can be obtained from a source such as phosphoric acid or any other source, inorganic source, due to which it is known as inorganic phosphate. So, there are three major processes: oxidative phosphorylation, as well as there is photophosphorylation, as well as there is substrate level phosphorylation. First, coming to oxidative phosphorylation, it is a phosphorylation in which energy which is obtained in order to form ATP is the energy of oxidation. Example of this is uh, the condition when ATP is converted into ATP by addition of inorganic phosphate, when the energy of oxidation is gained after the Krebs cycle in the electron transport chain, where the ATP synthetase enzyme present in the F1 particle Fernandez in the F1 particle of Fernandez-Morin particle oxysome, or oxysome F not F1 particle is having ATP synthesis enzyme, due to which when the it gains energy of oxidation, it becomes activated and causes conversion of ATP into ATP. This occurs in the mitochondrial membrane, after which when we are having the second part, we have the photophosphorylation includes the formation of ADP formation of ATP from ADP by utilizing the energy of sunlight. Photo means light, refers to the word photon. So here it refers to the word photon, and thus this complete process showcases that how the energy from light is utilized to convert ATP into ATP. This is photophosphorylation, which is occurred in the light reaction of photosynthesis. Rest, there is substrate level phosphorylation, in which and it is an enzymatic reaction in which the ADP is converted into ATP by catalyzing a particular substrate. For instance, we are having this the reaction first reaction A, 1,3 biophosphor diglycerate is converted into 3 phosphor diglycerate. Now in this process, ADP is converted into ATP. Now ATP, which is now here, we know that there are two phosphate group, as this is bisphosphoglycerate. Bis represents the phosphate group which is present linearly. Di represents the phosphate group which are present away from each other at different locations. These are present in chain, so these are bisphosphoglycerate. Now in this case, bisphosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoglycerate using uh, the enzyme which is transphosphorylase. Transphosphorylase removes the phosphate group from bisphosphoglycerate and transfers the phosphate group to the ADP, due to which it becomes ATP, and thus the reaction turns out to be a substrate level phosphorylation. Similarly, we are having phosphoenol pyruvate, which is having its phosphate group removed, due to which it only becomes pyruvate, and thus ATP becomes ATP, after which acetyl phosphate is converted into acetate by releasing the phosphate group, due to which it moves towards the uh, becomes ATP by the removal of phosphate group from acetyl phosphate and formation of ATP from ADP. Photosynthesis. Coming to next topic, photo term refers to light, photon. Synthesis refers to manufacturing. It is a manufacturing of something in the presence of light. Now here photosynthesis is a process in which the formation of an of energy rich organic compound takes place from low energy inorganic compounds such as carbon dioxide and water, which are anabolized, which are anabolized sorry, unable to write over here, so which are anabolized in order to form the carbohydrates, glucose. Now in this case, carbon dioxide is a gas which is in this process reduced because removal of oxygen occurs, while while water is found in the liquid form, which is oxidized because it is having the removal of proton, so it is oxidized, due to which the water becomes oxygen while proton is removed and utilized to give energy to carbon in order to make it reduced. So in that case, this is a long process which occurs by the formation of two phases: light reaction and a dark reaction. Light reaction or light dependent reaction, which is also known as the photochemical phase of the photosynthesis, and dark reaction, which is a biochemical phase of photosynthesis. Now, in this phase, a photochemical phase occurs in the thylakoid membrane of chloroplast. Which thylakoid membrane? It occurs in granum thylakoid membrane, not in stromal thylakoid, because stromal thylakoid contains phosphate. Photosystem 1 does not contain photosystem 2, as well as it is found singly. So, as it contains photosystem 1, there is no light reaction occurring in it. As there is no light reaction, we cannot say that uh, light reaction can occur, but sometimes uh, is it is the part where photolysis occurs because photolysis is a splitting of proton and oxygen, and energy released from photolysis is utilized by the stromal thylakoid. So stromal thylakoid does photolysis in case of excessive amount of energy which is required for stromal thylakoid. Apart from that, when it comes to stromal thylakoid, apart from that, when it comes to uh, a few constants of thylakoid membrane, we are having two photosystem, photosystem 1, 2. Photosystem 1 is this photosystem. which is having the amount of energy. Photosystem 1 is having 700 nanometer amount of wavelength which it can absorb, and photosystem 2 can absorb 600, 700, and photosystem 2 can absorb, photosystem 2 can absorb 680 nanometer, 680 nanometer of wavelength. These are known as P700 and P680 as well. Rest, when it comes to the water source, it is obtained from the roots by absorption of water. The the water is then absorbed, thus it is reached to the leaves, the photosynthetic organ, using xylem, and then carbon dioxide is obtained from the external environment. Rest, the glucose which is obtained is then taken with the help of phloem, and apart from that, um, we are also having the dark reaction which occurs in the stroma of the chloroplast. Now, coming to the main point or our main topic, which is role of light in photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is greatly dependent on light, and we know that light is sunlight is an electromagnetic spectrum. It is made up of different types of spectrums which are present in light. 2% of the light is ultraviolet, 47% is visible spectrum, 51% is around infrared light, if I'm not wrong. And this 47% of visible spectrum, out of this total 100% of sunlight, 1% of the sunlight is utilized. 1% of the visible spectrum is utilized for the process of photosynthesis. Why? Because light energy is obtained from that. And here the visible spectrum is of 7 colors: Vibgyor, um, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Apart from that, that ranges from 380 to 750 nanometer, and yeah, you can see on the scale as well it's given. Apart from that, when it comes to other parts, including the role of pigments. So pigments basically are those chemical substances which absorb the specific wavelength of radiations of light. In this case, they absorb the specific wavelength of radiation of light. For suppose there are many pigments: chlorophyll A, B, C, D. In plants, there are chlorophyll A, B, and as well as carotenoids. Here, we've been given wavelength, the absorption spectrum of a particular pigment. So absorption spectrum is a graph in which the specific wavelength of radiation of light absorbed by a particular pigment is showcased. For instance, we are having chlorophyll A. Chlorophyll A and B both absorb maximum amount of blue and red color of spectrum, whereas they do not absorb green and yellow color, due to which the plant appears green, the leaves appear green, because the chlorophyll reflects green light. Apart from that, chlorophyll A, B. So now both absorb red and blue region, but chlorophyll A is having more amount of absorption in the blue region and less amount of absorption in the red region. Chlorophyll B is having more amount of absorption in the red region and less amount of absorption. Chlorophyll B is having more amount of absorption in the red region, and chlorophyll and less amount of absorption in the blue region. Apart from that, carotenoids. Carotenoids are the pigments which only absorb blue and green wavelength of light, which means they reflect orange and red wavelength of light, due to which the carrots which are contain carotenoids appear orange or red. Now in that case, this is the graph over which you can further classify it as well. Now chlorophyll A is having its absorption peak. This is a peak of absorption. Now chlorophyll A and B are having their absorption peak as from at 430 nanometer and 430 nanometer and 670 nanometer. 430 and 670 nanometer. These are the two absorption peaks. Now, there was another concept given by Mr. Engelmann, who gave the concept of action spectrum. Action spectrum is the spectrum which is absorbed by which is absorbed by a specific pigment. It is a action spectrum is a spectrum which is absorbed by a specific pigment, which is absorbed by a specific pigment, or it is the spectrum which showcases. It is a graph which is allocated in order to show the effectiveness of the rate of photosynthesis, effectiveness of the different wavelengths of radiations of light in order to drive the rate of photosynthesis. In this case, this is the action spectrum which showcases the rate of photosynthesis. This kind of spectrum is required for photosynthesis. This was practically proved by Engelmann, and that was done on an algae, a photosynthetic algae known as Cladiophora. Cladiophora, and how is it was performed? Basically, there was Cladiophora kept inside a jar in a container. Prism was kept, and light was passed through it, as well as there was some aerobic bacteria present inside there, oxygenic bacteria, which could intake oxygen. So here, now, as the light was passed, as the light was passed through the prism, the light dispersed into 7 colors, due to which it formed 7 spectrums. Now, within the 7 spectrums, those 7 spectrums reached Cladiophora. Now, during the experiment, he saw that the aerobic bacteria are accumulated at the area where there is high presence of where there is a presence of red spectrum, and where there is a presence of blue spectrum. Now, we know that aerobic bacteria require oxygen, so they accumulated where there was high concentration of oxygen. As there was high concentration of oxygen, it meant that they were having high amount of photosynthesis. As there is high amount of photosynthesis, it means that in that region, that particular wavelength of light is being absorbed more in order to do photosynthesis, which means rate of photosynthesis was more in the blue region as well as in the red region. Now, when we come to see the action spectrum of photosynthesis and the spectrum of chlorophyll A, both are quite similar, except a few differences. That chlorophyll A is having its absorption peak to be narrower, and chlorophyll and action spectrum is having its absorption peak to be wider or broader. Apart from this, the chlorophyll A is having its valley. Valley is the distance between two peaks. So the chlorophyll A is having its valley to be having a high, to be having broader, and the action spectrum is having its valley to be narrower. Now, why was that? That was because chlorophyll A was not only absorbing the light, there were other pigments present in the plants, such as carotenoids, chlorophyll B. These are also absorbing the wavelength of light, due to which the absorption spectrum is varied. Now, in this case, carotenoids and chlorophyll B do not themselves undergo light radiation. They transmit the energy which they have absorbed to chlorophyll A in order to perform light reaction, as chlorophyll A is the reaction center which performs the light reaction. Apart from that, um, this process in which carotenoids and chlorophyll B not utilize the light energy for uh, the sake of light reaction and transfer it to chlorophyll A is known as resonance energy transfer. It occurs in such a manner: carotenoid transfers energy to chlorophyll B, and chlorophyll then transfers to chlorophyll A. That's all about today's video. Hopefully, we'll meet again in another one.